Key question. Something to think about. Tune in next week when we have an answer on why we don't say you walk around in squares.
Because you don't.
Or do you? Yeah, hey, listen, I'm not going to discriminate. There's a whole dance named after that shape.
Square dancing.
Square dance.
It's not called circle dancing.
That's
Okay.
facts.
Anyway,
All
on
right.
to NFL updates.
Could talk about squares all day, every day. But anyways, so yeah, what I was going to say is right around the corner is NFL regular season. So segue that into our week 2 NFL preseason games that we had. I'll start here just because we're homers. Cam Ward did play the first 3 drives. It was a pretty lackluster stat line for him. He was 2 for 7. But what I liked about it was he made good decisions. He had 1 pass, which will be the most contested pass from that game, where he hit Van Jefferson on like a 30-yard ball, hits Van Jefferson in the fingers, and so now you've got all the experts online debating, was that a catchable ball? Was it a bad throw? Is it Van Jefferson's fault? Is it Cam Ward's fault? Here's what Cam Ward had to say about it. He went to Van Jefferson after that play, asked, how can I do that better? Van Jefferson said, it was a little bit too far out of reach for me. Cam Ward was then asked about it in a press conference. Hey, what happened with you and Van Jefferson? Why did he make that catch? And he said, hey, Van Jefferson felt like I overthrew it a little bit for him. So, understood. I'll take that. I'll hit him in the chest next time. Put it on himself. Didn't put the blame on Van Jefferson, which, in my personal opinion, it looked like the ball was catchable, and that would have continued to drive, and ultimately Cam Ward's stat line would have looked completely different. But ball wasn't caught, and that's that. So, but I like that. I continue. I've been saying this since day one. I really enjoy the way that Cam Ward handles himself and handles the interviews and the press conferences. I haven't seen a single bad answer. It makes me excited for the future. I will take a step back and say that the Titans won't win the Super Bowl this year. I know.
What?
I know.
Do you honestly believe that?
Listen, AFC South, though, I think we win the AFC South this year.
Okay.
So, I still feel confident.
We'll see how you feel next week.
Yeah.
You know, your mood keeps changing.
You know, when I was doing my draft yesterday, I had to start thinking about other teams, what players they have, and AFC, I mean, the Ravens, they didn't make it as far as they thought they would last year. Derrick Henry had a amazing year as the running back up there, but it was overshadowed by the fact that Saquon backwards hurdled and rushed for 2,000 yards and won a Super Bowl. So I kind of feel like the Ravens have a chip on their shoulder because continually they get close, but then they fall at the finish line essentially because, again, they have to play against the Chiefs to get into the Super Bowl. Yeah. You've also got to play against Josh Allen and the Bills to get into the Super Bowl. So it's kind of a gauntlet.
Does that mean that the Ravens are your new Super Bowl contenders?
I'll go on record and say yes.
Wow.
Yes.
All right.
It's kind of crazy too because like you go back to like circa 2019, 2020, 2021, Titans-Ravens was this huge rivalry. They almost came to blows, like literally fight each other before the game one time. But nowadays, I mean...
Not quite there, huh?
Derrick Henry, staple of the Titans through that time, obviously. Now he's the main running back for the Ravens. So I feel like that beef is no longer existent. And I'm going to be a fan of Derrick Henry no matter where he plays at. I think he is probably my favorite player of all time. So
I think it's safe to say that he is your favorite player.
And that's with me growing up during the time of Eddie George and Steve McNair. Okay, like great players, but I don't know. Derrick Henry takes the cake for me.
The way you talk about Derrick Henry, it's like
I
You've
love
got
the
a little
guy.
bit of a crush. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah.
So,
All right. So, anyways, back to NFL preseason stuff. So yeah, Cam Ward had a lackluster stat line. However, I think if you watch the tape, the plays continue to actually he's doing his job. It's the fact that like Calvin Ridley wasn't on the field this past week for any of the drives that they had. You've got guys out there that are competing for the practice squad, like Restrepo, who I think should make the team because he's already got the built-in connection with Cam Ward since they both came from Miami. But yeah, so you've got guys that are fighting for a spot on the team at this point, and so I don't think that's a fair comparison to say like, oh, so and so did better. Like Jackson Dart, for example, had a great weekend this past weekend. I don't know that's a fair comparison at this point because if you watch the tape, basically all but one of his passes this past week were catchable. If they catch them, how does that end up stat line wise? Okay. Now, the big news for the NFL right now is Matthew Stafford's situation with the Los Angeles Rams.
yeah.
So basically, he has a hurt back, herniated disc to be specific. And so the Rams this entire offseason have been saying, like, oh, no, it's not that serious. He's going to be ready. He'll play week 1. Don't worry about it.
Meanwhile,
he has not really done anything in practice since they came back to start practicing. He's been unable to do a lot of different things. He's using this, it's called an immortal chamber. It's essentially
that doesn't sound real.
It's a glass table that you lay on, and it has red light above and below you to try and fix his back. He started doing this after he got an epidural last week, which should have prepared him to be able to play a full practice on Monday. But come Monday, he said back wasn't there yet. Still had some discomfort from it. So that is something to watch because, I mean, don't get me wrong.
I didn't realize you could just like get an epidural.
I mean, it's Matt Stafford. He can get an epidural.
Okay. Chronic epidurals can be used to manage chronic pain conditions. Okay. I didn't realize that was really a thing, but okay.
And here's the thing.
Okay.
It is not surprising whatsoever to me that Matthew Stafford is having back issues.
Why?
He was physically abused when he was with the Lions for years. I mean, thrown to Megatron, he would make phenomenal passes, but then he would just get obliterated. And there's one drive where he dislocates his shoulder, and he's like screaming in pain. And then they're like, "Oh, you get one more play," and he's like, "No, I'm going back in." And they're like, "Hey, are you sure? Like, you are in a lot of pain." Goes out there, makes the pass, and then is like, "I'm done. I got to get out of here." But like, completed the pass. I mean, dude's a dog. So with that being said, it makes no. It's not surprising to me that he is. I mean, he was with the Lions when the Lions were the Lions, just horrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak for Lions fans, year after year after year, and they had some dark days at one point. They have really turned it around. Not on kneecaps, to quote AC/DC Dan Campbell.
On kneecaps?
Not on kneecaps. In his opening press conference, Dan Campbell, the head coach for the Lions, was like, "Listen, you're going to knock us down, but we're going to get back up, and we're going to take a hunk out of your kneecap whenever we get back up there." Yeah, no, he and I mean, to his credit though, that's exactly how they play.
Right.
They're just going to beat you physically.
Okay.
So going back to the Matthew Stafford situation, Stetson Bennett has taken the majority of the preseason snaps over there. He is, I would say, solidified as the backup quarterback, potentially based on how the Matthew Stafford situation plays out, the starting quarterback for the Rams. And you might be asking yourself, well, how is Bennett doing? Because
I
he was
kind of
like,
forgot about him.
well, he was like 25 when he finished playing at Georgia. Obviously, they did really well as a collective group, but the question was it really Stetson Bennett that did it, or is it because he was throwing to Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey? Like, who was really to give the credit to there? And then he made it. He gets drafted by the Rams, but then he has to take a step back for some personal reasons. Comes back, and yesterday he went 28 for 40, 324 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, which, as far as I know, that is the best stat line for any quarterback in preseason thus far. Now, with that being said, it's preseason. Take that with a grain of salt. But 28 for 40, 300 yards in preseason. I mean, and 3 touchdowns. Yeah. He had some dots too. There was, I mean, just right into receivers' hands on a string to him. It was good. It's good to see.
Was it good to see?
Proud of Stetson.
Yeah.
My final midnight snack for the week is also NFL related. Shedeur Sanders did not play this week, but they're saying that they expect him to be ready to play next week. He had a slight injury, I believe, with his hamstring, so they just didn't want to test it this week. But that gave them the opportunity to see a couple other guys in their quarterback room. So you had Dylan Gabriel take snaps. He was 13 for 18 on the day, 143 yards and 1 interception. Not a bad stat line. I'm sure he'll get knocked for the 1 interception because it wasn't great. Right. But then you also had Tyler Huntley, 10 completions on 13 pass attempts, 71 yards. So I don't know if they answered any questions this week about filling out their quarterback room, but there is one thing that has stayed consistent. Joe Flacco has yet to take any snaps as quarterback, and I think that means he is the cemented starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, if I had to make a guesstimation.
So they're just playing all their back, like everyone else, to see who's going to be a backup.
I think you got to fill out the depth chart here in QB room. Who do you want to keep? Who do you want to trade?
Yeah.
Who do you have to cut? So, I don't know. Time will tell.
We shall see.
We shall see.